Hello everyone! So, the web store is here. The web store, that does not mean, oh, buy my hats, buy my shirts like every other YouTuber and their dog does. No, these are baits. My bait company. So, super excited. So this video, I'm just going to show you all the baits that will be for sale on the website. There's the website again. I'm going to keep flashing it. Also, there will be a link in the description for it. But it's awesome. So I'm going to show you the baits I sell, what's awesome about them, the colors, the prices, all that stuff. So let me start with a little bit of background story here, because I'm sure most of you don't know about it. I mean, my friends do, and subscribers that have been here for a couple of years now and everything, but even now I've been kind of keeping it under wraps. I did mention a lot last year. Really, to be honest, every soft plastic I used last year were my own for the most part. So, and I didn't really talk about them forever because I wanted to get everything right. I wanted to be able to sell them and all that stuff. So, but it started years ago, before I was making videos. I started pouring soft plastics just as a way for me to keep my stock filled and not have to spend so much money on stick baits and jig trailers and stuff. So that's what started, and then it ended up I wanted to make those baits better, better action, better materials, and really got obsessed with doing that, and then got obsessed with making molds and trying these weird ideas I had in my head, and I'm still doing that all the time. It just takes a long time because I'm constantly trying to make new molds, getting them right. A lot of times over and over just making molds and stuff and trying different things, and also then I don't really like this, or the action wasn't what I wanted. I'm the one doing all the research and development and pouring them all myself and all that, and now selling them to you guys. And I'm super excited. It's something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and just didn't know when necessarily, but finally glad I'm able to, and you guys can get these baits because they are the best. But I'll start with the kind of simple stuff and then go on. There are 6 different baits at the moment, and yeah, I'll tell you about them and colors and what makes them different, what makes them good, what they're for, how to rig them, maybe on a couple of them, whatever, what they're intended for, and yeah, colors and prices and all that stuff. So we'll start with actually where it started, and that's a stick bait. Now, I was really thinking about not selling these because it's just a stick bait, right? I'm sure I go, oh, it's just a stick bait, whatever. Yeah, I guess in a way it is just a stick bait, but it's actually really not. Like I said, when I started pouring, I was pouring to fill my tackle box and make sure I just had enough and not be spending so much money on plastics and stuff like that. But then, and I started with these. Every stick bait is different, to be honest. I've tried so many of them. It's my go-to finesse tactic on a spinning rod, light line, weightless Texas rig, or wacky rig. I really like weightless Texas rig, though, is the way that I really like to fish it. And really slow. If I'm not getting bites, that's something I go to. But when I started making them, I decided I was going to make them better after I started trying them and testing them and doing all that stuff. So, what is so much different about this one? Number one, well, it's a 5-inch stick bait, okay? Common, just 5-inch stick bait, right? The tail is a little slimmer than most stick baits. That's a little different. But the big thing is the material. It is made lighter It's made slightly softer, but still tough enough. Catch fish, multiple fish. And then also the material is something that I really got obsessed with, finding the right material, and just kept trying everything, different hardeners, different additives, different salt mixtures, different things like that, to get the perfect mixture for the soft plastic. And this thing is now super slimy without adding a scent or anything to it. It's soft. What that's going to do is let the fish engulf this sucker. And with the lighter bait and the soft plastic, it falls a lot slower too, which is something that I really enjoy, because when I am fishing this finesse style weightless, I want it to fall really slow. I want to pretty much be doing nothing with a stick bait, just pulling it up every once in a while, but really a lot of dead sticking and stuff. If I know there's fish there but they're not biting anything, this is what I like to do. So I wanted a slower fall, give that fish a long time to look at it and just munch it. And that is the deal with this thing. You can fish it whack rig. You can fish it weightless Texas rig, obviously. But I really just like the weightless Texas rig. Slow fall. It has a very subtle tail wobble that just, it's perfect. It's the best stick bait that I have ever used. And that just took time, just me getting it right. But with this plastic being slicker, softer, easier for the fish to eat, getting a better hook in those fish, that ended up being the soft plastic that I now use. Like, this thing is slick as sliding down my fingers. The soft plastic that I started using for every single bait that I make now. So, yeah, that's really where it started. And it's not just a stick bait. It is, but it's not. Alright, and that's why. Now colors, green pumpkin, black and blue, and the special color that also took me a long time to come up with to get it perfect is Colorado Magic, we're calling it. Dark green pumpkin, lots of chartreuse fleck. This thing works in any water clarity, but especially if the water's a little stained, all the way to muddy. If it's super, super muddy, black and blue is the way to go. If it's completely clear, green pumpkin's the way to go. Those are the only three colors I am making for this bait, because that is all you need. Alright? I'm not going to screw around with making all these crazy colors and just to get you guys to buy them, whatever, like every bait company does. I'm not going to do that. I don't have the time to do that either. And also, you don't need any colors other than these three. I swear. Alright. Now, the next two baits also are just going to be in those colors. Okay? We're not going crazy with colors, like I said. This is the Chunky Craw. Now, this crawfish bait. Now, when this is designed specifically to throw on the back of a jig, a flipping jig, a football jig, pinch it down a little bit on a finesse jig. On normal size, like flipping and football jigs, you don't even need to cut this down, you just thread it on. And what the whole point of this bait and why it is so good is when you look at every crawfish style bait, they have an issue where the claws do not stand upright when that jig is just sitting there. They want to hunker down, they want to fall completely down. There's really only a couple where those claws stay upright. And what that is when a crawfish is down on the bottom and a bass is looking at it, that's their defensive posture. They're going to stand with their claws up in a defensive mode. That bass gets close and tries to nip them. That's what they do. So for the most realistic, the claws standing upright is something that is a necessity to me. If I'm letting that jig sit there, or if I'm dragging that football jig, I want those claws standing up and looking actually like a crawfish. So that is what this thing is money for, and that was the point of this bait, is getting it so the claws, when that jig is just sitting there, not when you're pulling it up and down, obviously, it does give you a good little kick, a subtle kick. It's not going to give you a big flapping kick like some baits do, because I don't really want that unless if it's really, really dirty water. Okay, then I might go to those style baits. This is for just sitting there on the bottom. Those claws are just going to stand up, a little sway. It looks very realistic. Perfect jig trailer. It's pretty much the only jig trailer I use now. I won't really even change to anything else. And yeah, it's money. Chunky craw. Alright. Oh, also, stick baits. 8-pack for $5. Chunky craws. Also, 8-pack for $5. Alright. And here's the colors. Same colors. Green pumpkin, black and blue, and Colorado Magic. Alright. The only 3 colors for those baits. That's what you need. Alright. And that thing is cash money. Also, these appendages on the side, I don't think I mentioned this. I'm trying to go fast because I don't want to make this video super long. So, but also give you all the info that you need. So you know these are the best baits and you need to go buy them. It's just the facts. Alright. These appendages on the side, also what that does is it keeps the skirt of your jig from pinching, like sucking onto that bait. Which is a problem. It makes it all sucked down and slim when it's just sitting there instead of being bulked out, puffed out like a crawfish. So these keep that skirt from wanting to suck onto that bait and keep them more poofed out. Great thing. Alright, next is the beaver style bait. Another pretty classic style bait. Almost every creature bait is, or really every creature bait is either imitated on a beaver or a crawfish. That's pretty much what every creature bait is kind of based off of, really. This is kind of more of just a classic beaver. But the deal with these appendages on the side, completely unique. They really flap. And this thing also, pull it apart, more action in the water, leave them closed, also great action. This thing is fished to slip through grass. Alright, this thing is going to go through that grass. It's nice and slick, it's that slick material, thin body. So if you want to punch grass, just throw this on a punching hook and a weight and punch that sucker in there. That's really what this is for. The other thing that I use this for a lot now is as a chatterbait trailer. Either way, I usually keep the main tail clasped together. I don't rip it apart. I do pull off these appendages sometimes I'll leave them on, and then I fish it this way on the back of a chatterbait, or even with the chatterbait opposite of the hook, so they're down like that too. I can fish it both ways, and this thing just has the perfect action on the back of a chatterbait. It's like this, or like this. It's just perfect. Sometimes with like a, say, a paddle tail swim bait, it's too much movement on the back of a chatter. Crawfish, nothing. You can, like, the arms aren't designed for that, so they're not really doing any movement, and they don't look realistic at all or anything. So that's another thing that I really love that bait for. That was a total accident, and just started doing it, and it's awesome. So, but yeah, black and blue. I forgot to grab ones in the other colors actually for that beaver style, but they come in the green pumpkin too, and the Colorado Magic as well. So the same 3 colors for that bait. So those are the 3 like standard sort of baits that I started with the stick bait and then moved on to like those 2, and then tweaked with them and screwed around with them and got them perfect and changed molds and things like that. So but that's just where I started for a couple of years. I was just pouring those for me. But that's where it started. So there's those. Next, this one is really cool. It's the finesse frog. Finessey frog, I'm calling it. This frog is made to be a finesse topwater bait. On a spinning rod with braid, I throw braid on all my spinning rods. I just tie a leader when I'm finesse fishing. Just tie a small fluorocarbon leader. But with a finessey top water, I'm going to still take that spinning rod, just cut off the leader, tie the braid straight to it, because braid is the best for top water because it floats, and it's also strong, it rips through grass, whatever, bait hook sets on that, everything. Braid's the way to go on top waters. But, so that's what I do, and then you just put a EWG worm hook, unweighted, on this sucker, cast it out there, and when you pump that rod, these legs kick out just like a real frog. So it's like a frog just skipping along the water, just pushing off with its legs. It's freaking awesome. This thing was difficult to get right, let's just say. But what else is awesome about this is frogs, unless if it's big mats and stuff, they will swim on the top. But a lot of times they're just under the water and they're just swimming like that. You know, that's where you see a lot of frogs in ponds and things like that, just swimming like that. So what else you can do with this is put on a weighted swim bait hook. Just a small weighted swim bait hook. Not too much weight, but enough. You put that, screw that sucker on here, put it on a bait caster, cast it out there, and then once it hits the water, just start pumping it, and then it'll be just below the water, and it'll just look like a frog swimming just underwater. Thing gets freaking smoked. I'm going to be making a lot of videos on this thing. It's awesome. So it's a finesse frog. It's a finesse topwater bait, but it also has that option to fish it right below the water, in the water, around shallow cover and stuff, and let that frog just swim like a real frog. And it's the most realistic looking frog you'll ever find. And that is the point of this sucker. Alright, and this one just comes in two colors. The green pumpkin to look exactly like a frog. Alright? But then also real dirty water. Certain times if you want that action, but maybe you're not necessarily imitating like an exact frog. And also frogs sometimes get lighter in color and they look pretty shiny white in the water, especially in the dirtier water. So there's a white one, and sucker works. So it's just those two colors on the frog, because that's really all you need. I did think about maybe doing some black and blue and stuff, but those are the two colors that I decided that's all you need. Let's keep it simple. And that's really what I'm doing with colors, is I'm keeping it simple so you don't get all blown out by all these crazy colors and stuff like that. I am working on some new colors for very certain situations, and if I find that they are a necessity, then I will put them on certain baits and whatever. But as of right now, just keep it simple. Also for me too, for me doing all the pouring and all that stuff, it keeps it simple for me as well. Next, took years years to do exactly what I wanted, get it perfect, and that is the 8-inch swim bait. We're calling this the Crazy Swimmer. Alright, Crazy Swimmer 8-inch. And here's the deal. This thing, big, fat paddle tail on it, with these tails, little realistic looking tail on the back. Also, you can tell it's that soft plastic. So this thing has crazy amount of tail wobble in it. It displaces a lot of water, and it's really whipping around getting those fish to get this thing, pissing them off, but also has that bait fish profile that it looks really realistic. So that was the big deal, trying to get this bait perfect. Another thing is, as you can see, it's unrigged, obviously. So what you're going to want to do is a 10-aught owner beast hook on this thing is the perfect size. It goes right up against this top fin there. When it's through, it's perfect. Those are only half an ounce too. This thing, I wanted also an 8-inch swim bait, a big swim bait that I can throw on a regular rod. Okay? I throw this on a medium heavy 7'6", my deep diving crankbait rod. So it's more kind of thicker than like your normal medium heavy rods, really. So you can throw this like on a heavy like flipping stick, and you can even throw it on kind of more your heavier end medium heavies. You don't want to go with like a big whippy medium heavy that seems pretty light. You get what I'm saying? So that was another thing I really wanted with this, is I can just tie this onto my deep diving crankbait rod and fish it instead of having to carry around that 8-foot broomstick that I have, the big thing for the big heavy Huddlestons and big glide baits, giant S wavers, whatever, Gigantorel. Those big swim baits that I like are big giant heavy A-rig or whatever. Instead of having to carry around that rod all the time, I can just throw this on a normal rod that I have, that I'm using for something else, and tie it onto a rod that I carry around with me every day. So that was the other point with this thing. And the action is amazing. Completely weedless with that weighted owner beast hook on it. And it's freaking phenomenal. Alright. Took so long to get this thing, and now just when I look at it, it's so awesome. Also with the red eyes on there, another must-have. Went through a lot of different eyes. And that comes just in 2 colors. The green pumpkin and the white. White and black, the shad color. Alright? Those are the only 2 colors for that bait. Alright, and the next one is one that I just finished. Alright? And this is going to be more of a finessey but realistic swim bait. A lot of those little finessey swim baits, you know, are just like your little straight little paddle tail swim baits that don't necessarily look like a bait fish and whatever. So this is a little 4-inch bluegill. I'm calling it the real gill, but it can also imitate those shad. Just a little shad, a little chunky shad. This is more your finesse bait. Just throw it on a regular medium heavy bait caster. Throw it out there, slow reel it, maybe pop it up and down. It's awesome. And with this one, you're going to want to put on a top hook. You know, like a weighted swim bait hook. No swim bait hook, just threw it with a top hook on it. The profile is too fat to get a, you know, like a weighted weedless swim bait hook on it. Which is something I screwed around with and thought about, and I was trying to get the profile smaller, or get away where that weighted hook can get in there, or that weighted hook can sit in here, but that took out too much plastic, especially those weights are pretty decent size. But to get it perfect where it looks right and it looks perfectly like a little bait fish, I just couldn't do it. So with the, you know, just the regular hook, straight shank swim bait hook on it up through the top, you're good to go. And also you can just pop this thing on rocks, just pick on rocks with that weighted hook on the head. Pretty nice. And it's just like a little fish just popping off those rocks, popping those weeds and plankton off those rocks. Thing gets spanked as well. This thing's really cool. And you can just throw this anytime, but it's so realistic. It'll catch big fish, it'll catch smaller fish, it'll catch any fish. So that just comes in the green pumpkin and the shad color, the white color. So that's it. Oh, prices. Dang it. Okay. So prices for all these baits, and obviously all this stuff is on the website, and I even got descriptions of all the baits and stuff on the website, but I wanted to make the video and tell you from my mouth for you guys. But anyway, well, I'll just go through all the prices of everything. So the stick baits, $8 for a $5 for an 8-pack. $5 for an 8-pack. Alright. The chunky craws, $5 for an 8-pack. The beaver style bait, $5 for an 8-pack. Alright, those 3 baits, $5 for 8 of them. Alright, now we're starting to get a little different. For the frogs, it's $5 for 6. That's a 6-pack for $5 of the frogs. For the little finesse, real gill swim baits. I keep having an itch in my throat, sorry. These are 5 for 5. It's a 5-pack, $5. A really good deal for this much plastic. And so are these as well. The 8-inch Crazy Swimmers, 2 for $15. Alright? This thing uses so much more plastic than anything else, pretty much. You're getting a really good deal. 2 for $15. You can look at any 8-inch swim bait and you're not going to find really a better deal than that. So, and especially this awesome of a swim bait. This thing, I don't even want to release to people. Really, a lot of them. They've all been kind of secrets, and I love them. So, this is awesome, guys. Be sure to go check out the website. Also, there's a link in the description, but I'm also putting it right there, so you can see it, whatever. But go check it out. Buy some baits. Now, also, subscriber giveaway. And that means I'm going to give you a pack of every single one of these baits. Just 1 pack of each. But we'll do a subscriber giveaway. I'll announce it in a couple weeks. It'll take a couple weeks. I'm just going to play this out and let it roll for a little while. But then I'll announce it in a couple weeks, whatever. And then my email is in the description of the channel. You just email me that you won, whatever, once we figure all that out. And what colors you want for the baits, or if you don't care, then I'll just send you whatever. I'll probably actually end up just sending a mixed bag of everything. So, give you a mixed bag, one of this color and one of the white, and a mixed color half and half of these or whatever. 3 of this color, 2 of the other, or whatever, And then mix in frogs of different colors. Just give you a mixed bag so you have some of every bait and you can fish them. Catch fish on them. Catch those giants. So Redbeard, Bassin, Baits. Check it out. Go get you some. I'll see you guys on the next one. Click on my logo in the upper left hand corner to subscribe. In the upper right hand corner is the last video I made. In the lower right hand corner there's a video I know you'll enjoy. And make sure to hit that like button down below as well.